Hey, everybody, welcome to Red's Ramblings. This is going to be a different episode. I have Bonita here from Africa, correct?
From South Africa, yeah, on the tip of Africa, right down at the bottom.
All right, from South Africa. We literally just met or found out about each other not even 10 minutes ago, I want to say. So if anyone who's listened to other ones, like I'll have research pulled up and ask a few questions, but we're not doing that today because this is last minute. It's almost midnight over there for her. So we're going to go off the fly and see what happens. So I guess, Bonita, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yes, so I'm a coach. I'm a love coach. So I work with single women and I help them to find healthy, lasting love. So that's what I did. And I actually just finished an event before getting on. I received the message and I'm like, oh, I'm just about to get into bed, but it's 10:30, but that's fine. If you can speak to me in 10 minutes, let's do it. It's exciting. I always love serving.
That's awesome. I'm glad we were able to put this together so quickly. So are you born and raised in South Africa?
Yes. Well, actually, no. I was born in a country called Namibia.
Okay, I've heard of it.
Yes, it's right next door to South Africa. But when I was born there 4 decades ago, it was actually part of South Africa. And since then, it's become its own country, Namibia.
Okay, all right.
It's a beautiful, beautiful place.
Yeah. Like I put in the post. I've talked, besides Antarctica, obviously, because no one really lives there. I've spoken to somebody from every other continent except for Africa. So I'm glad to finally, check that box right now. So again, I haven't really looked much into Africa. I know Egypt's up there, up on the north side, and South Africa is obviously there on the south side. What can you tell me a little bit about the local culture you got down there?
Wow. So in South Africa, we have 11 cultures or 11 languages, 11 official languages.
Really? Okay. And what are those?
So English is definitely one. And then there is Afrikaans. So Afrikaans is sort of like a dialect from Dutch. So probably 3 or 4 centuries ago, the Dutch sort of settled in Africa. There was the gold rush. So Afrikaans is another language. And then we have all the African languages. So Zulu, Xhosa, Tswana, Sedi, but we have 11. So we are an extremely diverse culture. And extremely diverse in religions and languages. And it's a very interesting country to be living in.
Yeah. Is English the only one that you know, or do you know some of the others?
I know English and Afrikaans.
Okay.
And
okay.
I did a little bit of Northern Sotho at school, but it was like textbook stuff. It's very, very difficult, the African languages, the dialect. If you didn't grow up with it, it's very difficult to learn, yes.
Yeah, the only one that I recognize that you just named off was Zulu. I remember like History Channel or Discovery Channel reading and watching about like the ancient tribes back then, the warrior tribes and all that. And Zulu, was one of the best ones or most well known of the warrior tribes over there. What about foods? Because again, I'm so ill prepared for this one. This is going to be a unique one.
I can tell you about my culture, which is Afrikaans. So it's a very rich culture, and just in terms of foods, we love biltong. I don't know if you know biltong. If you've ever heard of biltong. I think it's like jerky. You would call it jerky. So,
are you saying bull tongue, like the tongue of a bull?
Biltong. So BIL.
Okay.
TONG. Biltong.
Okay. You say it's like a jerky.
I think you guys call it jerky, but what it is it's dried out beef.
Yeah, that's basically what we would call jerky for sure.
Yes. yes. So that's huge for us. I don't know if you've ever heard of Cook Sisters.
Can't say I have. No. What's that one?
So Cook Sister is like a delicacy where it's like dough that gets folded, like it gets braided like you would with hair, and
Yeah.
it looks all braided, and then you dunk it, you fry it in oil, and then you dunk it in an extremely sweet like sugar syrup with cinnamon in, and that is divine.
I mean, if it's deep fried with sugar on top, I'm game for that, 100%. Oh,
yeah. So that's what my my grandmother, she used to make the best Cook Sisters, and you can buy them, but they're not the same as when someone makes them homemade. It's just never ever the same. So yes, Cook Sisters is big. What else? Bobotie. Do you know bobotie? That's also a South African dish. So that is like a minced dish, but with curry in it, and then it has raisins in it as well. And at the top, you put egg on top. It's divine as well. And you eat it with yellow rice and raisins.
Yellow rice and raisins. I love raisins, but I've never heard of a dish with rice and raisins together.
That's divine. So the sweetness sort of, you have a sweetness with the curry. It goes really, really well together. Yes.
All right. Well, one thing that I do want to check on, since you're from South Africa, in America, we usually eat, cows and chickens. I think those are easily our two biggest animal meat that besides fish, obviously. But there are some that like we don't eat or like are frowned upon eating, like illegal to eat. Is there? And obviously we don't have a lot of like wild game like you guys have out there. What are some like the wild games that are used and prepared for meat dishes that we wouldn't have here?
Okay, so I mean, frowned upon. It depends. Like it depends on in which sort of circles you move, obviously. But there are some restaurants. I remember going to a restaurant in Namibia, and it was a game restaurant, so you could eat crocodile. I've had crocodile. It tastes like chicken.
Yes. Yeah, we have a few spots up here that have alligator, and it's a tough chicken, basically. It tastes like chicken, but it's a little chewier. Yeah.
Yes. And I'm just thinking about the English word. I've eaten a giraffe steak.
Really?
Yes, but I was very young. It must have been 15 years ago at a restaurant. So there are restaurants that sort of offer that, but it is frowned upon. Obviously, in the last 15 years, people have changed. But we eat kudus, we eat bucks, we eat blauwillebees.
What was that? That last one?
Yes. Let me just see what is that in. It's buffalo, really.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Oh no, blue wildebeest. Blue wildebeest, yes. It's a blue wildebeest. So yeah, we don't particularly eat it often. Well, my family doesn't. I don't know people who do because it is an acquired taste, wild animals. But yes, we love us South Africans. We love our red meat.
Yeah.
We love our cows and our sheep.
Okay, I haven't had sheep. I think I've had lamb before.
Yeah.
I'm sure I have, but I mean they can't be that much different, I would imagine. So obviously, a lot of people know of South Africa from Mandela, especially here in America. We know basically that's the only reason I would say most of us know of South Africa is from everything Mandela did back in the day, and the apartheid and all that. So are there like old like monuments, cultural monuments from like the local tribes around there that are still a thing? Because I spoke to a guy from India, and there's a huge rich culture of ancient monuments and temples based off their religions and all that kind of stuff. And I don't recall seeing many of that on the African side, like like monument buildings and temples and stuff. Is that not really a thing down there?
No, for two reasons. I think because we had apartheid and it was an extremely white society. We had like our monuments that we built, and then obviously as things changed in the last 22, 23 years, they frowned upon and they were taken down because
Yeah.
they represented what wasn't okay.
Mhm.
So that's the one reason. And I remember traveling to Italy a couple of years ago and walking into the churches and just
Yeah.
being really at awe with the candle holders, and they were
Yeah.
gold and silver, and the paintings, and it was beautiful. We unfortunately don't have anything like that because the crime is just too high over
Mm.
here. So, nothing would sort of last too long. It would be
Yeah.
stolen.
Yeah, that's one thing me and my wife were talking about the other day. I was looking at some pictures from over in India, and it was like these big, huge, you know, temples that probably thousands of years old. I can imagine, like extremely ornate. And I remember thinking, I was like, growing up in school here in America, we learned obviously about, England and, Da Vinci and Michelangelo, all those
Yeah.
architects and all that, everything that they built. But we never really learned about any other cultural monuments like that or great architects or artists outside of Europe, basically. And I was like, I wonder why that is. That doesn't take long to kind of figure out, oh, okay, because over in England it's a whole bunch of white people, so of course they're going to teach us that and nothing else. um, and I'm assuming y'all kind of know what we're going through up here right now with, statues of people back in the day and all that kind of. I don't really want to get into that type of conversation, But you said you had a lot of religions down there.
Yes. Yes. So there are different types of religions. I mean, obviously we have Muslim,
Mhm.
and then Christian, and then we have Seventh-day Adventists, and then we have people that
Okay.
aren't religious, and then we have different sort of denominations of the Christian faith.
Yeah.
I think there must be 15.
Yeah.
But we are pretty open and accepting, because we're such a diverse culture.
Yeah.
Yes.
Are
Yes.
there still any? I'm assuming there are, but are there any that you can speak of like the ancient or old school way or whatever word you want to use? I guess like with how the tribes would do the sacrifices and then all that kind of. Is that still really a thing, or is that really still a thing but not spoken about much? I would imagine.
Definitely. It is still a thing. It just depends how rural you go.
Yeah.
And it's definitely still a thing. So we have initiation tribes, and they're really trying to stop it, where they, I'm not too sure about the detail, but where tribes are sort of initiating young teenage women and men as they move into puberty and they grow up, and they I don't know what's the right way to put it, because I actually can't find the wording for it, but they actually let me Google it, because I can't think of an English word to say, but they want to try and stop it, because it's quite brutal.
Yeah.
They cut their genitals basically.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Castration, right?
Yes, but I'm thinking about the women as well. They do that with them as well.
So yeah, I think I've seen a few articles on that still going on. There was
And the
actually
government is really trying to stop it, because it is inhumane.
Yeah.
But it's tough when you have people that are still very much sort of in touch with their culture, which hasn't been westernized, and we need to respect them, but we also need to protect young children.
Yeah. Yeah, I could definitely see the, I guess, arguments that, yeah, obviously I'm pretty sure most people would say that that's wrong, but that is their life. That's, like you said, that's their culture, there's their tradition. They've been doing it forever. So, who are we to step in and say, hey, stop it? And yeah, you definitely get that battle, I guess you could say, going on. I mean, heck, nothing to that degree, but we're having that up here right now with a lot of stuff people wanting to change, and others are standing up and saying, no, this is who I am, my heritage and all that kind of stuff. But in the end, it's like, yeah, but that's wrong, right? you gotta know the limit, man. I get it's your heritage, but that's not the way it should be, I guess. And it's a hard battle. It's a hard battle to win because both sides think they're right for sure.
Well, I think in South Africa, we because of our history, for us, human rights come above everything else.
Yeah.
So it is slowly but surely starting to change, because as a human being, as a young male or female, you can sort of decide that you don't want to be castrated, even though your parents believe in that. So we are definitely slowly but surely moving into that sort of change. I don't know if you know about lobola, if you know what that means.
Can't say I have.
Okay, so lobola is also very much an African concept where when a young man and woman want to get married, the man needs to go to the parents and buy the woman from him. So it's usually a cash prize of, I don't know, 50,000 Rand or 5,000 US, and sheep and goats and cows. They decide on a price together, and the families get together. And only once that price has been paid can he then take her and marry her. So that's also very African culture, which is falling away, because if you look at for us English or Afrikaans South Africans, our culture is very different, right? Where if we get married, our parents give us gifts, and my dad paid for the wedding, and so we're much more westernized. And you'll see a lot of the African couples are now sort of having two weddings, where they have a Western sort of white wedding with a white dress, and then they have an African wedding. And it's just because we're in that phase where people are changing and they're moving through to the Western side, but they still want to keep their elders and their family happy. So then they do the African wedding as well. So that's a very interesting concept. And then the other thing is Ubuntu. I don't know if you know what Ubuntu means.
No, I do
so
not.
I might get this wrong, but Ubuntu just means like we're all in it together. And I think if any South African hears me now, they would probably lash out at me. But it's really just, to give you an idea, I had a friend from church, an African lady, and I asked her, like, why aren't you going home over December? And she was like, can't go home December, because if I go home, because I work here and my family knows I'm earning money, I have to, when I go home, give everyone money, like my aunts, my uncles, my parents, my sisters, my nieces, everyone. And I need to take food. And so for them, like Christmas time is I need to come bearing gifts, and I need to share everything that I have. So the new word that we use for it in media is called the black tax, because if you're African, you have this like following of poor people that sort of need help. And if you're busy making it in life and you're successful, you have to now sort of hand out your success to everyone else. It's frowned upon if you keep it to yourself, which makes it very hard for someone coming out of poverty with a huge family to step into a new life. So I think that's also a very interesting concept.
Yeah, I can see that. Obviously, if you battled your way out, and obviously, even if you love your family, you're going to want to help take care of your family. But like you said, if there's a huge family, you can't please everybody. There that is very, and the Labois, you said the
Le Bon.
marriage
Yes.
Labois. I've heard of that tradition. I didn't know there was. Oh, I figured there was a name for it, but I've never heard that name. But yeah, I have definitely have heard of, giving goats for the wives and stuff like that. That is a tradition that we have heard of up here as well, for sure. I want to ask you then, if because you mentioned about Christmas and everything, Christianity being down there. I imagine, yes, there's going to be Christmas at the same time. Is there, like, how up here in the States we have Halloween? Is there something sort of like that down there?
No, not really. I mean, we've taken it on. We've even taken on Black Friday. So
Real?
and we don't even have Thanksgiving, but it's
Yeah.
like the world has
Yeah.
become so small. The world has become so small, and internet has connected everyone. And I
Yeah.
just think our retail stores have thought, oh well, Black Friday, it works for them. Let's make it work for
Yeah.
us.
That right there is hilarious, because if you think of any like super American, not even just Western, just super American holiday, it is Black Friday and all the stuff that comes, how we've turned it. Oh wow, that makes me laugh so hard. That is hilarious right there.
Yeah, and then even Halloween we've taken on. I think some families do it, and some
Yeah.
do it, but it's not huge yet. But I think everyone's copying everyone, and whoever can make a buck off something is going to implement it.
Yeah. Excuse me. I don't know what day the apartheid ended, but has that become like a holiday that is celebrated?
Yes, we have Freedom Day.
Okay.
Definitely. Yeah, we have lots of holidays.
Mhm.
I don't remember them all, but we do have Freedom Day. We have Heritage Day. We have Women Against Abuse Day. We have Mandela Day.
Yes.
On his birthday.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have. I think we're one of the countries with the most sort of holidays. We have a
Are
lot.
those, I guess, like national holidays?
Yes.
And what is it, like typical fireworks and whatnot like we do up here with basically all our holidays?
No, not really fireworks. So, I mean, we have Human Rights Day.
Yeah.
And that has a lot to do with marching and
Mhm.
people getting together in stadiums. Obviously not this year, but getting together in stadiums and singing and dancing, and the old stalwarts giving sort of what do you call it? It's very political. It's very
Yeah.
political. Yes.
That's interesting. Well, okay, what are some things that not a lot of people, like even if you're a tourist, right? Even if you go down there for a week or two as a tourist, that you won't ever find out? Like some special things that are really only the locals know.
Oh, wow. That's a really good question. And that's a hard question to answer because I've lived here all my life, so I wouldn't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah,
I'll
for
tell
you,
you
it
what.
would be just something normal that we would find like, oh, that's so cool,
Yes, yes. I tell you what we did once with some family that came to visit from the US is we took them to Vilakazi Street, which is in Soweto. So it's inside Soweto, and that is where Mandela lived.
Yeah, okay.
With his wife, Winnie. So it's a museum. So we took them there, and then there's some really interesting African cuisine restaurants.
Okay. And what do they have? You're saying interesting, like,
Yes, interesting. So they would have pork trotters, or do you know pap, maize meal?
I know maize is corn, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So this is refined corn,
Mhm.
which is like white and refined, and then we make it like a porridge. We cook it with
Okay.
water, and it's very much an African thing, and it is divine. It is divine.
Mhm.
It's very filling. It's probably our staple food.
Yeah.
Most people live off it. That's what they have, is pap and salt. What else would be like very South African? Probably the Gautrain, which is a train that was built quite recently,
Mhm.
couple of years ago. We never, like, our public transport system is horrific. You
Yeah.
don't use it unless you really, no, you don't use it. You either have a car or
Yeah.
you don't use it, because we have taxis, which squash, like, it's like a mini bus combi, and it
Mhm.
squashes like 10, 15 people in there, and they're known for reckless driving. Like, we
Yeah.
don't many rules on the road that are sort of followed. So you don't get into a taxi. Like, even people that I've spoken to that don't have their own car, which is the masses, they won't get into a taxi with a young child, right? Because
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
way too dangerous.
Yeah.
Um, so yes, you would, and you wouldn't necessarily ride a bike, because people just don't listen to the rules here. Like, this is the one country in the world where if you see a yellow light, what do
Yeah.
you call them? A robot? What do you call them? A traffic light?
Yes. Yes. I actually, now that you said that, I do remember reading that somewhere, that we call them traffic lights, and down there they're called robots. I do remember reading
Yeah,
that somewhere.
yeah.
Yeah.
So this is the only country in the world where when you see a yellow traffic light, what it actually means is you need to speed up and hurry and get through it.
That would have saved me at least 2 traffic tickets, I know, if that was here. I remember at least 2 times I've been pulled over. It's yellow, I'm still good. Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, our we don't have much road rage that I know of, but I just know no one sort of adheres to the rules of the road. Are you okay?
Oh God, I'm dying. Whoa.
Uh,
All right. So nobody really adheres to the rules of the road. Gotcha.
Yeah, because it's not being enforced, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, I can tell you, we have lots of beggars on the street. Obviously, you don't see them now. The government is actually doing something about it and taking care of them because of COVID. So they've
Yeah.
created shelters for them. But you'll see guys who, we call them the recycling guys, and they don't have work, they don't have homes, but they have these trolleys that they've built on wheels, right?
Mhm.
And they'll come past your house, and they just start sort of rummaging through your garbage, right? And they just like open up your garbage, and then they take out all the plastic and the glass,
Yeah.
and then they'll go hand it in somewhere, and they'll get some money for the day.
Yeah.
So really poor people. And what I've seen with them is that sometimes they are in the road on those trolleys, like driving like a car in the trolley, no brakes,
Yeah.
no steering wheel. They just sort of like, and it's like downhill and
Yeah.
fast. So quite interesting. Yes.
I did pull up a little small thing real quick. And apparently South Africa has a brewery.
Yes, we have many breweries.
Yeah, I was reading the one thing I did pull up was South African brewery Saab Miller, S-A-B Miller.
Yes.
Let's see, by volume as a South African brewery Saab Miller ranks by volume as the largest brewing company in the world.
Yes.
What? Saffers. What Saffers? Is that like South Africaners, I guess?
Yes.
Okay. But the real reason the brewery is so big is apparently Saab Miller also supplies up to 50% of China's beer.
Oh, wow.
Very
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, SAB, we call them, is one
Yeah.
of the biggest companies in South Africa, and obviously not doing so well right now. I don't know if you know, but we're in lockdown in South Africa. We're at level 3. We're not allowed to drink alcohol
Really? Even at your home?
No, you're allowed at your home, but
Okay.
at level 3, no one's allowed to buy or purchase or drive with alcohol. So the thing is, because alcohol abuse is huge, we have a lot of sort of uneducated people, and they just drink, and then they fill up the hospital beds that we need right now for COVID. So no one's allowed to drink unless you've stopped.
Yeah, I know up here, I don't drink beer at all, but I do know up here there's been a supposedly a shortage of aluminum cans because bars are still closed up. We never had a true lockdown, you could say. Bars for the most part are shut down, which includes restaurants. And so a lot of people are staying home and just buying the beers from the stores. So instead of being at like the bar drinking out of a glass or a shot glass, something like that, they've been using up all the aluminum cans. So people are freaking out now about apparent aluminum can shortage. And here I am like, well, I don't drink beer anyway, so I'll be okay. I'm looking here at this other thing real quick. The world's largest themed resort hotel is in South Africa, Palace of the Lost City.
Oh, yes, the Lost City was built by Sol Kirstner years and years ago. So that is a tourist attraction.
Yeah.
And it has a huge casino and entertainment world, and it was I think it was one of the first places in the world that had like waves. They have the swimming pool actually created a swimming pool with waves.
Really? Like an indoor? That's pretty cool for sure. I'm reading because there's like 20 interesting facts about South Africa. South Africa's drinking water is rated third best in the world. Is that the thing you're aware of?
I'm not too sure whether that's still the case. I think it was the case a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
But I'm not too sure that our drinking systems have been maintained in the last 20 years. I can tell you another interesting fact about South Africa. We have serious electricity problem.
Mm-hmm.
So our state-owned electricity generating company is called Eskom, and it just hasn't been maintained in the last 20 years. So what we have often, we call it load shedding. It's a South African thing, and it's quite normal. As we have a little app that says, today we are on stage 2 load shedding, which means that if you're in this area, you will not have electricity for 4 hours from 12 p.m. till 4 p.m. or from 8 p.m. till 12 p.m. So it's usually about 4 hours. It depends on what stage you're at. So obviously this is causing havoc because no robots are working, businesses can't function. And so everyone, if you're a small business, you've either bought a backup generator, or you've bought some sort of battery backup. Yeah. So I also work with international clients. So I have like backups for my laptop and my phone and the internet. Otherwise, you just sit without electricity for 4 to 6 hours, and sometimes it happens every second day, and sometimes it happens twice a day. But we just have to deal with it. That's interesting, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, because obviously, if we have a storm, we'll have power outages, but it's not regular. Like it's not something like 2 minutes till. What load shedding?
They call it load shedding, yes.
Yeah.
And that's created havoc for small businesses before the pandemic. Mm-hmm. Like people can't make money because what now happens, and even the cell phone towers go out, so then you can't make phone calls. because their backup batteries have been stolen, because our crime is really, really high here. So even restaurants would, because of the power going on and off, what happens when they go back on is there's a power surge that goes through your whole house or your whole store. So what does that mean? Our appliances get damaged.
Yep.
So we need to buy new appliances all the time. So it's interesting.
And how long has that been going on?
It's probably been for 4 years. It might even be longer. Like, I'm guessing for 4 years, but it might be longer. No, it's longer. So it's just it's a state-owned enterprise where we get our electricity from. It's called Eskom, and it just hasn't been upgraded, and no one's upgrading it. And they're constantly asking the government for a bailout for money to fix it, and then the government pays them the bailout, and then the next thing, senior management and everyone gets bonuses, but nothing gets upgraded. So it's a vicious circle. Another interesting thing about South Africa is our state-owned, what do you call a lugredery, a state-owned, like an airplane company. I can't think of the name. Like airline. You've got, yes, an airliner. So SAA, South African Airways. Okay. Same thing. Constantly asking for bailouts from the government, and then the government gives them bailouts. And then next thing, it's gone. No one knows where the money is. No one knows how it disappeared. And it's amazing.
Yeah, that tactic is not necessarily a South African unique thing, I can assure you.
Oh, okay.
That happens up here pretty often as well. Companies are going down and government just gives them a whole bunch of money, and then next thing you know, executives get bonuses and all this kind of I think that's just a corporate thing right there. That's just human greed, I guess,
Yes.
Is the mining industry still really big down there?
Yes, it is. I don't know much about it, but yes, it is. It provides a lot of job security.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, we're a country that's really rich in natural resources. Yeah. So mining, I think, will always be huge.
Yeah. You talk about all the crime. I know we've had a few movies and documentaries based off all of the corruption. I'm just going to leave it at that. The corruption that goes on with all that. I'm looking here about a whole bunch of shipwrecks off the coast of South Africa. Are there any, like, I don't want to say parks, but is anything like built around the shipwrecks? Like, hey, let's go look through and anything like that? Because that sounds cool to me, like deep sea diving, stuff like that. You could like take a trip down into them.
I don't know about that. I'm not too sure about that. Really not too sure about that, about shipwrecks.
Yeah, because I think if I'm right, one of the reasons South Africa became westernized because it was like used as a shipping stop. Like, was it Cape Town, right?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, so they would stop there in between India and Europe and all that to refill and all that kind of stuff. South Africa used to have a nuclear weapons program? What? Is that something you can speak on? I didn't even know that was a thing.
Well, luckily that was stopped because we don't want people that sort of can't manage electricity to be managing nuclear, right?
That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. Yes, it's very true.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of sports? I'm assuming football is real big down there. Anything else? Like I know, is rugby a big thing down there?
Massive,
really?
Massive, yes. So, but soccer, yes, we call it soccer. It's probably bigger. Soccer is bigger. It has a huge following. Mm-hmm. We're not necessarily good at it, like in terms of competing with the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And we had the Soccer World Cup in South Africa. I think it was in 2010. Yeah. So I mean that was huge for us. It did so much for our economy, and you know, country built roads and stadiums, and we just got a massive upgrade, which was amazing. I think we still haven't paid for the roads though. I know there's something behind that, something politically. We borrowed a lot of money to build new roads, but we still haven't paid for them. What else is there? Okay, so and then rugby is huge, but rugby we are a bit better in. I think we've been World Cup champions twice.
Okay.
Might be 3 times. My dad would know better than I would, but definitely twice.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely twice. We've been rugby world champs. We love cricket as well, but we've never been able to win the cricket World Cup ever.
I got you. Is basketball? 'Cause I'm a basketball fan. Is basketball a thing down there?
No, not really.
Not really. That sucks.
No, sorry. I don't know about basketball. It's not big.
What about music? What kind of music is it? Because I'm assuming you got the traditional sounds of whatever. Is that?
We've got beautiful music. We really do have beautiful music. So, I mean, you've got all the traditional sounds and music, but I think like jazz, we've got amazing jazz artists, yes. We have we have everything, but I think our jazz artists are really, really good. Maybe I'm biased because I love jazz music. Not that I've purchased anything, but I think, and gospel. We've got some beautiful artists in gospel, and really just having, those African voices. Those it's beautiful.
Yeah, I was listening. I went the other day on like a rockabilly kick, like old school big bands and jazz sounds and whatnot. And that's one of the things I always like to do is I'll find like one of my favorite genres, and I'll purposely look for a band or a group or an artist from another country that just happens to do that same sound. And I found a lot of them. I was looking at some that are actually from, I don't remember where in Africa, but they were from Africa, like some rock bands. Rash is apparently one. That's the only one I think I can recall the name of. But apparently they've traveled around, and they sounded awesome. It was just a group. I want to say they were from Kenya, though, if I remember correctly. They were actually from Kenya. But that's definitely one of the things I love to do is pick a genre, go out like, okay, what is about someone who plays rock and roll in Japan, someone who plays rock and roll in Africa, India, and all that kind of stuff. And you always, even though, okay, you can tell, that's rock or whatever the jazz, whatever the genre is, you can still pick up that cultural sound that, if you close your eyes, you're like, this has got to be from another country. You can tell this isn't from America. This has got some other flavor to it, basically. I love doing that. Love it.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, we do have some beautiful music. We have Johnny Clegg. Do you remember Johnny Clegg?
Johnny Clegg?
Johnny Clegg, yes.
I can't say I've heard of that, no.
Okay, so Johnny Clegg, beautiful, beautiful African music. Lucky Dube, Miriam Makeba, Hugh Masekela. Yeah, some really beautiful, beautiful voices.
Well, that's obviously pretty cool.
Yes. And then we had I'm just trying to think about, there's a group that really made it big in Amsterdam, but I can't think about their name, South Africans, but they were really, really weird. I don't know.
Was it a duo?
Yes, a guy and a girl.
You talking about the Antwoord?
Yeah, the Antwoord, yes.
Oh, yeah. I've heard of them. I like them. They were very weird, but yes. I know exactly what you're talking about. That was
The hip
Ninja.
hop. Yeah, ninja and
Ninja.
Navy or something. I don't know.
Oh, I can see your face right now. But yes, I know exactly who you're talking about.
Oh, Yolandi Visser.
Yes,
Yolandi.
that is it. Yolandi. Yolandi, yes. They were in
That,
that movie Chappie. Really good movie too.
I
Um,
never saw it. I never saw it.
I can't think of much else to ask, honestly. Because again, this is so last minute. Are there any other countries you've been to? Outside of South Africa or outside of Africa? Let me go there.
Yes, I have. Outside of Africa, so I've been to Australia.
Okay.
Actually, my family's moving there at the end of this year.
Okay.
I've been to London, the UK. I've been to Holland. I've been to Belgium. I've been to Italy and Hungary.
All right.
And Croatia, yes.
Okay. Cool. Cool. I have been nowhere.
Well,
Been to
I
other
mean,
states, obviously, but
yeah, if you've been to other states, it's the same as being in different countries, right? Because it's so big there.
sometimes they are definitely like if you go outside of the South, it's way different because I'm down in the South of America or South Carolina in America. So yeah, there are definitely cultural differences there depending on where you go for sure. But so what are some? I am doing really bad at this right now with all this last minute stuff. I'm
I
gonna
think
edit
it's
all this. I'm gonna edit all this little gibberish and banging out. So you've been to Australia and a lot of places up there in towards Europe and all that. What are some things that are keeping you in South Africa? Because it kind of sounds like there's a lot of stuff going on that I would imagine somebody would like. Well, let me just move out. Like, what's keeping you? I'm born and raised down there, so home, family, your roots.
Yes, it's a beautiful country.
Mhm.
It just has natural resources. It's beautiful. It's just, you can't describe it. Cape Town has the most beautiful sunsets, and then the Highveld has the most beautiful, the Big Five, and you've got you've got places where it looks like a desert, and then places where, like the Karoo, and it's an amazing country. But yes, it isn't safe. I have two young daughters, a 5-year-old and a 6-month-old. So unfortunately, we are busy relocating. We've put in our paperwork. We're hopefully on our way to Australia. We're just
Yeah.
waiting for this pandemic to subside and then to hear back from the Australian government. And it's sad because I know when I leave here, I've been here my whole life, right?
Yeah.
I will always be a misplaced South African, but you'll find that a lot of us, like the world is full of misplaced South Africans, sort of looking for a better future for their children because, what's going on here is, a country that was beautiful and had a lot of potential that's sort of not going to make it. We're sort of on our way to where Zimbabwe is or was quite fast, and the decline is happening at a much faster rate, and obviously with what's been happening with the pandemic, it's even escalating, the rate at which the decline is happening, and our biggest problem here, Jamie, and there are so many hungry people. And, you have a few people that are financially viable and adding to the economy that sort of have to carry, so many people. And at some stage, that bubble's going to burst because you can only fix people so much. And my heart goes out to people that can't feed their children. And I know, I'm sure if I couldn't feed my daughters, I would steal to feed them. So, it's just a horrible situation.
So you've been there since your whole life, and What started the decline, I guess, could you say?
I have to be so politically correct, right?
Yeah, like
When
I mean, if you don't want to answer, I completely understand. I know that's a pretty personal question.
Well, what started the decline was when people who weren't equipped and who didn't have the right education came into power and started running government institutions that they didn't know how to. I mean that's the politically correct answer.
We got that right now.
Yeah, it's like,
We got
when
that right.
apartheid sort of changed, and no one's saying apartheid was right. It was the worst thing that our country ever did. But then we tried to correct that, and we took people that didn't have education, didn't have the right background, and we put them in positions that they couldn't do the jobs. They couldn't deal with the power. They couldn't deal with the money. It's like, and it's not getting better, that's for sure.
What made you decide Australia? Of all the other places you've been, why Australia?
Oh, we have family there, and
Okay.
The weather is pretty much the same as South
Yeah,
Africa.
I can imagine.
Yes.
For sure.
Europe's way too cold, even though my pre ancestors were from there. But yeah, we have family there, and I don't know, of our family that has traveled to the States, they sort of said Australia was better. I don't know.
I couldn't say either, but I'm definitely not going to say they're wrong. I don't know.
Well, all I know about the States is what I see on TV. So
yeah, it's probably not good right now. It's probably not some of the good stuff. There's some good stuff. Right now, it's not being shown. What part of Australia? Because I did one of mine was with a guy from Melbourne. No, excuse me. Oh, he's going to hate me if he's watching this. He was from Sydney.
From Sydney. Okay, so that's I'm in Western Australia, so at the bottom left of Australia. Right. So Perth is very much, it's huge. It is a city, but Sydney and Melbourne is like huger.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's much, much bigger. Yes.
Yeah. So you said everything was going good if you don't mind me bringing this up again. It was going good at one point, and then people who weren't equipped to run the country started running it and going down. Do you see like any hope? Like obviously, I'm sure you hope for something to change later on. Do you see that though?
Well, I just want to correct you there. It wasn't going well,
okay.
Right? It was going well for a few of, the select white people, because we were in charge of everything, but it wasn't going well because the rest of the nation was living in poverty, but we didn't see it. The rest of the world didn't see it. So obviously there had to be some change that had to happen. I don't see a future for South Africa. I might be a pessimist about it, but I think there cannot be a future if people are getting away with corruption and murder and crime. If people aren't being policed to do the right thing, it's not going to just sort of start happening. Because if I see this one getting away with stealing 3 million here, then I'm going to steal 5 million there. And this one, and no one's getting caught. There's absolutely no justice. If you know that nothing's going to happen to you, it's not going to get better.
Yeah, what's going to stop you? Exactly. Yeah.
Yes. And we don't have the money to police it properly, so it's just like this downward spiral.
Well, that definitely, it sucks, honestly. It definitely sucks for sure, especially like you said, being where you grew up, it's all you've known, family and roots and all that, and watching it just fall apart. Yeah, it's definitely Not something you want to see.
Yeah, and the thing as well is we have a country with a very high unemployment rate. Very, very high. So, for someone like me and my husband, we're in our 40s. We're at this age where we're supposed to be economically active, right? We're supposed to be able to make money, look after our family, buy a house, have cars. In any sort of, like in Australia, that's normal, right? In America, that's normal. If you want to work, you can get a job. Maybe not so much now, but I mean, people can take care of themselves.
Yeah.
In South Africa, there aren't jobs, number one. Like, if you finish school and you could go to university, chances are you're not going to find a job because they just aren't. So you have to do your own thing. And also we have what's called Black economic empowerment, which has been going on for the last 25 odd years since apartheid, where if you employ new people in a corporate, they have to be Black, they have to be female, they have to be like, because we need to right the injustices that happen. So we need more Black people in management positions, in leadership positions, in CEO positions. So we need to stop employing white people. And that's not fair on my children who are 5 years and 6 months. So, and that's why I need to take them to a different country where they have equal rights, and where they have an opportunity to make the best of their life regardless of their race.
Yeah.
So for me, it sort of feels like, and like racism has turned its head in South Africa. Like, you're having the racism discussion in your country because of what's happened on your side. But for me, it's like it's turned around where we are the minority, but the way we're being treated now, it's like racism has gone the other way.
Yeah.
And then people come with, my white privilege, and I get all of that, but I want to go to a country where it doesn't matter if I'm Black or white.
Yeah.
It matters whether I want to work and I want to study, and it matters whether my kids want to do that and whether they want to make the best of their life.
Yeah, I know, because you brought up the situation we got going on up here. And again, in America, I'm from what's considered the South, which racism is alive and well down here. Sadly, I see, at least for our country, I can understand not seeing it down there. I get what you're talking about. Up here, I see, I guess, the light, at the end. I can see us going there. Right now, we're in some deep, muddy waters, but we're working our way through. It's not going to happen overnight, but it will happen at some point. We're going in the right direction. There are some obstacles in the way right now. But we're definitely making our way there, I feel. We've come a long way from when I was younger, that's for sure. And I've mentioned it a few times. It's sad that it took what happened to, I guess, give us the jump start to finally go the correct way. It shouldn't take that. It should just always be, we're all, the same. All that historical bullshit, basically. It's just that. It's just bullshit. Leave it back there. But you got a lot of people that stick to their guns and don't want to change. And it comes down to, like you said, the humanity, and it shouldn't matter. And it's a sticky subject, man.
Yeah. I don't feel equipped to talk about it at all, because we have such a long history in South Africa and all over the world.
Yeah.
I was sort of born into it. I was 9 or 10 when Mandela got released, so I've seen both sides and it's never pretty. I think it will take generations and generations to move past injustices like that.
Yeah, like I said, on our side, I see it's going the right direction. And if I remember right from talking to Gregoire, the fellow from Sydney, Australia, and I think we spoke on a little bit, but it's nowhere like it is here in America, and definitely not on the level that you guys have over there as well. They seem to be a lot more open and caring about everybody than apparently both of our countries are. I don't know. Oh man, this has been fun.
It has been fun, a bit of sort of just making it happen and talking about things that are interesting. I hope you got what you wanted from this.
Yes, I definitely appreciate it. I know it's probably midnight by now over there for you. So yeah, I don't want to keep you up too much longer. I appreciate you getting on the call with me, Bonita. Thank you.
It is my pleasure. Lovely meeting you. Thanks for your time, and good luck with this episode. I hope it works.
I appreciate it. I'm sure it will. It'll definitely be an interesting one for sure. And you guys be safe, and hopefully y'all get accepted over there in Australia.
Thank you, Jamie. Thanks. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.